What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you're listening at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show.
The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is a magazine that embraces and celebrates the entire homeschooling experience. Our magazine is different from all the rest because we provide beneficial information and assistance in homeschooling, business, wellness, mental health, resources, and life. We encourage you to pick up a copy of our magazine today on Amazon.com by simply searching the Homeschooling Interactive Magazine. The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is all about impacting the world through home-based learning, hoping to de-stress the homeschooling experience. Get your copy from Amazon
you don't have what you
today.
don't ask for, right? And I wanted that sign. Now I had to work for it, and I worked for it. But I went from pre-algebra to demonstrating that I could get an A in calculus to graduating from one of the best aerospace schools in the country and getting my master's in space systems engineering. And that was solely off of the faith that I had in myself and not so much what other people thought I could or should be.
Wow. So the fact that you finally made the decision that you was going to do better, you wasn't going to allow what other people thought that you should be, what you should become, or the lack thereof, you, from this moment on, you were going to pretty much walk to the beat of your own drum and create your purpose, your future. And through that, you went to community college, which some people feel like if you go to community college, it's not as good as going to a university. That can be debatable, but your life changed once you went to community college. And you said something about pre-algebra. So was it a teacher or something, or a student that kind of made your mind shift a little bit? Because you said you wrote this list. So I'm curious on what this list said. What was it in this list that made you do all this stuff? And we should be creating a list for our children, or our children creating for
Listen, I highly advocate for lists. I think what gets measured gets improved. And the reason for the list was I was challenged in where are you graduating? Are you transitioning? What are you doing, right? And you have counselors and they're trying to guide you on a path. And so I tried to get clarity around that. Mm-hmm. But in this class environment, they weren't judging me based off of the things that I did in high school. They weren't judging me based off of the things that the people around me felt that I should do or try to do. I was just a person, and I was a person trying to learn a thing. And what I learned from that moment was that I could be taught and I could learn. And if I did not learn in a class environment, it wasn't because I wasn't smart. It was because I didn't find the person who could teach it to me in a way that I could learn. So I learned how to advocate for my learning style, and I learned how to go out and put the effort into study habits and the discipline. I mean, the discipline with that I have to this day.
And I heard some key things that you said. And in the homeschooling community, we are very, we always advocate about finding your child's learning style. When you find your child's learning style, you can unlock your child's full potential. Many times a child is not, I would say, doing all the things that we would like for them to do academically is because we're presenting the information to them in a way in which they do not learn. And so when I heard you say learning style, learning the way, I said, ooh, okay. So you was able to find out your learning style, and then you had a teacher that would be able to help you with that. And I heard you say how at community college they did not judge you on your past. It was
Right.
like a clean slate. And
Yeah.
so for many homeschooling parents that are home right now with their children, and they may have that one child, that one student that they're smart, they have something inside of them, but you just don't see it within those first 1 to 12 years. You are the prime example of delayed but not denied.
Yes. We have a joke in the business community, and it's that the C students are founding and running the companies the A students work for.
Ooh.
And I don't want to take anything away from A students, but I would really love it if we had a different way. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to this community, because I feel like homeschool is further ahead in doing this.
Mm-hmm.
People are more than grades, right?
Mm-hmm.
There may be situations that get in the way of people achieving. And until you can really take that 360 look at the person, we shouldn't be telling them what they can or they cannot do. Everything that someone told me I could not do, I do. I went and I worked at NASA, and my mother was not a fan. Love her. We have a great relationship. She is employee of the month every month at the second company I founded. But she could not see what was inside of me. She loves me dearly, but she has how to create a business that would be listed on Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies in America twice. I did that off of $1 and a dream while couch surfing in California. She was not a fan, but all of that grew into something. And so I really want for people to relax and say, I know that I have faith in this individual. I know that this individual has potential. I may not know how that individual's potential and purpose come together, but I have faith that it will.
That is powerful. And so right now, Aisha, we're going to take a small commercial break. And once we take the commercial break, we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about your journey to entrepreneurship, because now we heard the journey about your education, how the light bulb went off. And to make mention before we go to this commercial break, you eventually did go to a university from community college. And so all the things that society wanted to think that if you don't reach a certain milestone at a certain age during a certain time, then okay, you're a lost cause. That theory, that line of thinking is totally wrong.
I got 2 degrees from one of the best aerospace schools in the world, and I have the pleasure of sitting on the industry advisory board for the aerospace department. So all that stuff, and I support the community college, and I have an endowment there. I don't think that knowledge holds true anymore.
No, you proved that wrong. Clearly. Okay, so we're going to take a small commercial break and we'll be back in a moment.
The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is a magazine that embraces and celebrates the entire homeschooling experience. Our magazine is different from all the rest because we provide beneficial information and assistance in homeschooling, business, wellness, mental health, resources, and life. We encourage you to pick up a copy of our magazine today on Amazon.com by simply searching the Homeschooling Interactive Magazine. The Homeschooling Interactive Magazine is all about impacting the world through home-based learning, helping to de-stress the homeschooling experience. Get your copy from Amazon today.
And just like that, we're back. I told you it was going to be a small commercial break. And who do I have with me today? The amazing Aisha Bowe. And we was talking about just before the commercial break about her journey and how she went from not making the best of grades in high school to going on a path of self-discovery that led her to go to community college, which had her make this list. This list became her pretty much her mantra. She started checking off all this stuff. And then she eventually was able to go on to university. And basically, she is history. She is part of our Black history, okay? You're looking many times as homeschoolers, we're searching for our Black history. We're searching for our African American roots. What did we do? What did we contribute to? Well, today you're speaking and seeing and hearing and not reading, being able to connect with one of our pivotal people in history, because literally that's what she did. She making history again and again and again. So she already did it in education. But did Aisha stop there? No, Aisha didn't stop there. I decided that I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to go over here in this entrepreneurship industry, and I'm getting ready to disrupt what's going on and be able to unlock potential for children like myself, or for future generations to come. This is not just a company. This is a movement. And now we're going to tell you a little bit about this movement. So Asia, tell us about, why did you decide to do this form of entrepreneurship and focusing on with Lingo STEM?
For me, it was about advocacy and it was about equity. When I was in the government, I loved my job, but I was limited in how much I could do to support a particular community. So one of the things that was my responsibility was every month or so we would get notifications from teachers and we could go and talk to a classroom, and I was always so excited to do that. I would go out to the classrooms, kids, and I could never get to what I actually did at work because they would see me and say, there's no way you could exist. I literally was carrying my degrees in the trunk of my car because the kids could not connect that there was a young African-American female working at NASA, working on small spacecrafts and rockets. They couldn't do it. Understand, they don't get to see a lot of us. Now, where I got frustrated in my job was I wanted to be able to mentor more students. I wanted to be able to take more students as interns. I wanted to be able to take what I created and project that to the world so that the world could be inspired by the things that overcome. But that was beyond the scope of my position. That was not in my job description. And so I found myself at odds with my job. And I really had to think on it and I had to pray on it. And I said, you know what? I am bigger than this job. So I need to step out on faith and I need to figure out how I can combine the desire to inspire, to educate, and to empower with the technical education that I received. And so I started a government contracting firm 10 years ago. And our mission was to take a portion of every hour that was worked and create education outreach programs and support our nonprofits so that we could create more people who were like me, people who have maybe thought that they weren't interested in STEM or science or being in technology, but had never really had the opportunity to experience it and know what it was like. And that is the foundation of STEM Board, which is the first company that I run. We have been an award-winning company for several years now, and I'm super proud to be at the helm of that.
Wow. This company 10 years ago, a decade ago, what led you to take it a step further to do what you're doing now with Lingo? Because what you're offering is so ingenious because it bringing real life application that they can do. Because some of your kids, I looked at them and I was like, wait a minute, that sounds like something dealing with a car, all these different things that they're familiar with, but you're making it easy. And one thing that I find that's very unique is that you have a lot of instructors that look like us. So why was that so crucial and important to you? And why did you decide to do it just in that fashion?
Yeah, so people will say, okay, Asia, I think you're in technology, but I really am in societal advancement. And what I mean is by being a business owner, and we're not necessarily a small business, we're almost 50 full-time people. I pay people in 6 different states. What I've realized is that my vote, the revenue, that moves the needle. I can write checks to support political campaigns. I can put people through college. I can make sure that my families are paid more than a living wage to support their students' academic careers, training, all these sorts of things. And when I really started to think about that, And I looked at some companies like Johnson Publishing, right? They put a lot of money in the community. They built people up so that everyone could have a share of the pie, so that everyone could live a better life. And for me, the big piece that was missing was, okay, I have this technical workforce. How do I create more people that have the ability to get access to jobs like this? I have people working for me and they're making well over $100,000 a year and they don't have college degrees. And I'm proud of that because they have IT certifications and I can't help what happened earlier in life, but I can make sure that they have good jobs. And so there are a lot of pathways for people to be able to support themselves and support their families through IT certifications, and also for people to go into aerospace and get PhDs. But what I didn't see was the representation. And so I decided to fill that gap. I'm like, who better than me, right? If not me, then who? And I wanted to create educational content that could inspire you to go to college, that could inspire you to study STEM, that could inspire you to be an entrepreneur, run your own business, do whatever you want to do, but give you the power and show you that there were people who were like you or people with diverse backgrounds who were doing the exact same thing. And they were making it fun.
That is remarkable on how you not only you making history, but one of the main issues in, we just gonna speak of the United States, is employment. So the
Yep.
fact that you breaking barriers in more than one way and also providing more than just a living wage, because we know how inflation is right now. You constantly giving back and providing another way for us to be successful, and being that you are a visionary and you know from your own life story that your full potential is not maxed out by 12th grade, that you are providing jobs for ones who qualify, that has an IT certification. But if they desire to go to college, then that is available to them. So
And I want to double tap on this because for me, I often think that I liked my experience at Michigan, but I'll be the first to say that I came away from that experience feeling damaged in some aspects because there were not very many women of color in that environment. The ones who were there were friends to this day. It's one other person. And when I walked out of it, I said, how different would work be if people like you and I could actually shape it, if we owned it? I don't have a diversity problem. I don't have an equity problem. I don't have any of those issues because I care and I hire in that way. So I just wanted to allow people to be in the driver's seat of their careers and in the environments that they choose to work in. I also wanted to communicate that, and this is something this is what I love about homeschool, is that 8th grade, when I experienced it, had been taught that way for like 20 years. We had books that still had things in them that were no longer true, right? I remember being in middle school and they had books that still had the Soviet Union in there. I was like, what in the world, right? I mean, there's so much stuff that happens in those environments that is outside of a parent's control. But lingo for me was like, hey, I can create this kit. And if I give you this kit, you can choose how you engage with it. You can do multiple lessons. You can see technology in a new way because we're going to shoot trailers and we're going to make it fun and we're going to tie to careers and we're going to give you an experience that may not be an experience that people have traditionally been given in that age group. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to deliver something where people could go, okay, that's different and I like it.
Well, you're definitely doing that, because for the fact of the matter is you are, I mean, it's not very hard for us to find a lot of information since around elementary school level and below. When you you have to get a little creative when you start getting to middle school to high school. And the fact that yet again, you are filling that gap with quality self-led, self-paced education, that a parent don't have to be a rocket scientist in order to teach or order to guide. I prefer the word guide because you have a inclusive system where the child can go in and literally the parent just need to make sure the child has internet access. They don't have to know all of this stuff.
Absolutely.
And so tell us a little bit about the setup of the kit, because do they get something every single month, or do they get like a lesson plan for parents who create their lesson plans? How would it work for homeschoolers?
Got it. And I actually was reaching for, I have the first kit right here. So the way that we've set this up and what you hit on was so important to me. I don't want you to have to do what I learned how to do. I just want you to be able to guide it. And so we set out to create self-paced, student-guided modules, right? Where we also have lesson plans. If an instructor wants the lesson plan, we created it. And we aligned it to national learning standards, which is something else too, right? When I was looking at some of the work that parents had to do, you know, they may need to provide a justification at the end of the semester as to what they taught the student. And we've already done all of that. We've aligned it to middle school standards. We've learned it to high school standards, CSTA, NGSS. We've got you covered. But in addition to that, the modules are small. So let's say 5 to 10 minutes. You have instruction. It's hands-on. And if the student has any issues, you can just tap Lingo for tech support. And we have an entire arm of our business that is designed to support those one-on-one engagements. You can submit a ticket. You can have a Zoom with us. We're here because for me, my work is you, right? This is my sole purpose. I am here because I have this amazing testimony and I was able to grow this business out of all the things that I thought were meant to set me back, but were actually meant to set me up. And now I want to bring that into your homes. And I want you to trust me to help teach you and to teach your student about science and technology in the way that I have experienced it.
I love it because for the simple fact that I like how you say student-led and the fact that parents already have a lot that they have to incur with homeschooling as well. And so it depends upon
All right, so at this time, we are welcoming author, podcast, businesswoman, coach, podcast influencer, Coach Tina Ramsey.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are. The media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here. We got it, reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR, Media Network. CTR is who we are. The Media Network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR, Media Network. CTR, Media Network. Yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are. The Media Network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network.
Had a justification at the end of the semester as to what they taught the student, and we've already done all of that. We've aligned it to middle school standards, we've learned it to high school standards. Standards, CSTA, NGSS, we've got you covered. But in addition to that, the modules are small, so let's say 5 to 10 minutes. You have instruction, it's hands-on, and if the student has any issues, you can just tap Lingo for tech support. And we have an entire arm of our business that is designed to support those one-on-one engagements. You can submit a ticket, you can have a Zoom with us. We're here because for me, my work is you, right? This is my sole purpose. I am here because I have this amazing testimony and I was able to grow this business out of all the things that I thought were meant to set me back, but were actually meant to set me up. And now I want to bring that into your homes. And I want you to trust me to help teach you and to teach your student about science and technology in the way that I have experienced it.
I love it because for the simple fact that I like how you said student-led and the fact that parents already have a lot that they have to incur with homeschooling as well. And so it depends upon which state that you're living in will dictate how much oversight regulations that you have to have. But the fact that even if you live in what we call a relaxed state, a state that has little regulation, you still want to make sure that your child is hitting those milestones. So when they go out into the world, they'll be able to, navigate properly. So the fact that you took the time to make sure that, like in South Carolina, we do have to have we have regulations in certain areas. We call a moderate state. So that you went through and made sure that it met those requirements. And literally, everyone, this is your curriculum. Everyone talking about, well, how do you build the curriculum? Well, guess what? Lingo built it for you. You just need to get the box, get the kit, have the lesson plan. They have customer service. They got a ticket if you need something. Like, really? That's like your own private school.
It is. And listen, I love it. You nailed it because for me, I wanted to make it turnkey. I want everyone to be successful with this box. I don't want anyone to feel intimidated. I don't want anyone to feel discouraged. I want you to go, okay, I got this. And I had an issue. I called them and they helped me. And we were able to not only get through it, but the student couldn't put it down. From time to time, I will go in the field. So I've been known to teach middle school from time to time. And I was teaching 8th grade in East St. Louis. And I'll never forget, a parent came into the classroom because she was worried that her kid wasn't out. She said, my kid every single day is out at the curb ready for me to come pick him up. And I'm like, your kid refused to leave because he was proud of what he did today in class. And he took her through how he turned that in the driver's seat into a board that could make music. That's our second lesson. And he played for her a song that he had composed, and she was just in shock. And I felt like that is what I'm here to do. That's why I want them to lead it. I want them to be inspired and say, I feel comfortable, I know how to do this, and I'm excited, and I'm going to choose to learn more.
Wow. Now, many of our homeschooling parents that's listening and watching on TV or wherever you're tuning in from, they're probably saying, okay, now, Dr. Tina, Aisha, you've been talking about this box, and I don't have to do anything but buy the box. Where's the box? How can I get the box? And all that good stuff like that. So, how can we get your kits?
So you can purchase a kit on stemlingo.com.
Mhm.
And for anybody who's homeschool, we have a different package. So we've got 3 options. You can purchase the kit as a subscription, where the learner will receive a new activity each month, which is great, especially for in the summer when you may experience some learning loss, or maybe you want to take a trip, or maybe you just want to have some time to relax. You can continue to get an activity. But for our homeschool community, I always encourage you to go online and hit the button that says for schools and request a quote, because we have all of the curriculum packaged already with all of the lessons, and that is what we really would like to provide you. And that is part of the package that we have underneath that school's banner. So there's more if you go to the site than just a box. You can get all the content, all the curriculum, and all the videos, and you can choose how you want to share that with your student.
And yes, for everyone who's looking right now, able to watch us on television and online TV and on social media, you can see this is just some of the activities and different things that you will be able to explore on Lingo. So make sure you go to stemlingo.com. That is STEMLINGO.com for those of you who listening in on radio and those of you listening in on podcasting networks. All of this is a great way for you to be able to de-stress the homeschooling process. For many of us, you did not intend. Some of you are homeschoolers of choice, and some of you are homeschooling because you were thrust into the world of homeschooling. Being an educator myself in the public school system, later on turned homeschool mom. That was not my plan. I was thrust into homeschooling because I had a medical sensitive child. And so I was told that it would probably be the best thing for them because he stays sick 24/7. And so it happened to be one of the best decisions. And so I am all about, this is not a regular kit. I have been sponsored and did all kind of different kits over the past decade. And I have never, ever seen a kit that is a school in a box. I see kits, but not a kit plus school in a box, meaning they have a back end where you go in and log in and be able to watch these videos to go along with the kit. Like literally what Aisha said is that it's turnkey. It's ready for you to be able to use. It's ready for you to be able to give to your child to be able to explore. And who knows what this is going to unlock for your child. It can start unlocking different things in their brain that they never even use, places that they never even use, ignite confidence in them that they never had, because now they have the time and they're self-led and they're able to get walked through and they're able to see themselves. Let's keep it real. We need to see ourselves in these different industries, in these different areas that we read about 24/7, but we don't see ourselves, but we do exist.
And your words are, it is a dream to be able to have this conversation with you, because when I decided that we were going to start this second business and that we were going to focus on this age group, I can't tell you how many investors and how many people said no one's going to buy that.
Hello, homeschooling parents. I have a question for you today. Are you homeschooling a promising student? Before you say yes or no, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. What is your definition of a promising student? Well, Cambridge Dictionary states a promising student is likely to be very good or successful in the future. Doesn't this suggest that a promising student is likely not to be very good or successful at the moment? But this definition gives us hope that a not so good student right now is destined for better days. So let me ask you again, are you homeschooling a promising student? If your child is having educational or behavioral challenges, I've got good news for you. You are homeschooling a promising student, and better days are ahead. My name is parent coach Sharoya Ham. I'm a behavior specialist helping parents to change their behavior so you can remain calm, consistent, and confident that you're doing the right thing. In my job and working with clients, I deal with families who are really struggling to help their children meet the educational behavioral goals that they have set for them. Well, today I'm going to tell you just 3 simple steps that I take all of my clients through in helping them to understand this process is simple, yet it requires your attention. And so today I'm going to ask for your attention just during this video so I can help share those 3 simple steps with you. Are you ready? The steps are: be calm, take note, and connect the dots. Be calm, take notes, and connect the dots. I'm going to say it one more time because these are the 3 steps I'm going to be talking about today. Be calm, take notes, actually take notes, and connect the dots. You know, I want to warn you because we as parents, we tend to jump over the simple and get the complicated. What programs are out there that can help my child read better? But sometimes we just need to start with the simple. And I want to do just that for you today. So step 1 is to be calm. How do you get calm? I'm going to share that with you in a moment because pretty much you know what works for you to get calm. So we want to just remind you in this area. But before I do that, I want to share with you a story. 8 years ago, my son, Miles, his name is Miles, he was struggling in middle school. I recognized after receiving his standardized test scores, for 2 years in a row, he had been struggling. The scores had barely moved. I thought, what is going wrong? And so I called the school up. I said, no, I don't just want to meet with one teacher at a time. Please, can I have a parent-teacher conference with everybody in the room? I walk in the room, all the teachers are there. They begin to tell me what they're seeing, the deficiencies in his academics. Then they start to tell me about his behavioral issues. I knew then there was something going on because as a veteran teacher who used to teach math in high school, I knew that when my kids were struggling academically, that's when their behavior started to flare up and be inappropriate. So I left there really disturbed because never before had I heard such bad news with him. I knew he wasn't the finest student, getting the tops, the A's and the B's all the time, but I knew he had great potential. I came home, I laid down in the bed, I was praying and crying. And something happened I will always remember. My son, 6 foot tall, 12 years old, came walking into my bedroom, knelt down by the side of my bed and said, Mom, I don't crying because of what those people said. I don't care what they said. I want you to know that I'm going to be okay. You know, in that moment, I looked at his face. He was so convincing. I knew he knew. he was going to be. The problem was me. I needed to get my mind off of doom and gloom and look at his face and see that he is not a struggling student, but he recognized that he was a promising student. He recognized that right now he might be struggling, but indeed he was going to see better days. My son taught me the value of being calm. And today I want you to understand that this concept of being calm is simple, but yet it was even enough for Harvard University to study and to find out that when parents have a lot of fear and anxiety, it affects their child's learning and development. And that's a Harvard University study. So I'm here to say to you, no matter where you are on this journey of homeschooling, if you just started schooling your child and you're like, what do I do? I want you first to start with being calm. And I'm going to tell you how to do that just a moment. But I really want it to get into your innermost being that you are going to stifle your child's learning and development if you don't show up every day being calm. So let me help you. Consider some options for how you can be calm. Here, I want to give you 3 things. Number 1, take time to write down your concerns at night. You know, our worries play tricks with us, and more so they sap us of our energy. So I want to encourage you every night to develop a practice just to write down your concerns. Just a list, not a sentence, not a reflection. What is concerning you? Oh, how long it's going to take me to get this done today? Or will my son have a meltdown today? These are the things that concern you. Look at your list and just set one goal, just one goal. I make a point to today or tomorrow, you're setting the goal the night before, I'm going to make a point to just sit down with my son in the room while he's doing his math. Just sit there and see if that helps. Just one goal, because what happens when we set one goal and we reach it? The momentum builds and we can go on to other things. Okay, so first you can just write a list of things that concern you about the next day. The next thing you'll do is simply look at that list, set one small goal for yourself to assist your promising student. Then number 3 is very important. You got to be proactive. You know, when parents and working with clients, when they get upset is when they feel like their back is against the wall. Their child is asking them for something and it's not the right time and they don't know how to respond. So I want you to start thinking about what could go wrong tomorrow and then just writing a little routine that you can do to keep it at minimum, okay? So what am I talking about? Let me be a little bit more specific. One thing that I implemented when I was a homeschool mom is someone gave me this great advice, is to treat my child as if he weren't my own. And you know, when she said it, I was like, what? But then I realized what she meant. What she's saying is, we're not rude to other people's children. We're least likely to yell at other people's children. And I found that that worked. Get myself into the mindset that this is someone else's child and that's how I'm going to speak to him. If you can make that part of your routine, perhaps that will help. Here's another thing. Watch what you're thinking about your child. If you're thinking they're stubborn, that's not going to help you. But if you're thinking, okay, my child right now is really adamant about this. Now, should I just back away until he comes down and I am able to reason? But adamant is a good quality. Stubborn is not. Be careful of the words you choose to describe your promising student. So I want you to write the night before What words can you use instead of the negative ones that often pop up? It's important to be proactive so you can show up in the morning calm. And another thing that you should think about is that when things begin to escalate, where your child's behavior maybe is having a meltdown and you're losing your patience, go small and go quiet. Sit down and just limit your words. This opens space up for your child to examine their behavior. When you're yelling at them, guess who they're blaming? They're blaming you for getting them riled up. But when it's quiet, they have no one to blame, and they're more likely to see that their behavior is inappropriate. So I just want to encourage you to be proactive the night before about how you will show up calm the next day. Our kids are supposed to show up to school ready to learn. We need to show up calm so that they can have the confidence they need to learn and develop. All right, so once you spend time getting yourself prepared and ready to go to wake up calm, please don't touch that cell phone. You know that that does not help you be calm in the morning. So think about it. Lay down. Maybe you can do 10 breaths before you get out of bed. Maybe you can sing a song. Maybe you can pray. Whatever it is, before your feet hit the floor, get calm. And after you get calm, we want to move on to the second step. You know, Albert Einstein once said, if I had an hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. Doesn't this seem a little backwards? Most of us get on Google and start, my child needs this, my child is slow in reading, what do I do? All of us, we're looking for solutions, not just for 55 minutes. We can spend hours on Google looking for products and the tricks, what we can do to help our kid. But Albert Einstein had something he recognized. He understood that if we understand the nuances of the problem, we can get to the solution faster. If we understand when our child is reading well or not reading, or the little things like, are they reading well in this subject and not that subject? Or maybe they're reading well when it's pictures in the book, you know, the nuances. That's what we have to take note of. Now, where we go wrong is many times we think, oh, I've got it here, I've got it here. But I'm going to tell you something I learned being a veteran teacher, helping students who were failing in math. The kids were sent to me. I was affectionately called the last grade hope, because when the kids arrived in my classroom, they had failed Algebra 1 twice. They were taking it for the third time. But you know what those days of teaching those promising students taught me? Taught me the value of writing down notes. I took note of how long they could pay attention before they just went haywire. I took note of what problems were easy and what problems were hard. I took note of, you know, what was the challenges each one of them were facing, and I wrote down. And guess what? I began to connect some dots. And so what I recognized was that for the problems that they found easy, I tried to change the harder problems to kind of look like the easier problems. I had to slow my pace down. And those who their attention was challenged pretty much the whole class after failing twice, you don't want to pay attention. But what I decided to do was teach for 15 minutes, give them 2 minutes to just chat in intervals between my teaching. I had to learn to be unorthodox to reach them. Because what I really wanted them to feel and believe. I wanted them to be like Miles. I wanted them to know that they were going to be okay. So, what is it that you need to write down? What you need to do is take notice of what you want your child to do. What is it that you're trying to get them to do? Do you want them to pay attention longer, to expand their focus? Do you want them to, you know, reduce the amount of anxiety meltdowns that they have? You want your child to feel confident. Well, then you must pay attention to these behaviors outside of the classroom. When are they doing it? When are they succeeding? And you want to put a pin right there and let them know, you know what? Today I saw your confidence. Wow, I couldn't believe how long you focused on that. That was excellent. It seems your attention span is growing. You're not just patting them on the back, telling them they're super duper kid. You want to be specific. So let me just back up a little bit. You want to take notice of when your child is doing the behavior. So if they're sitting down, or they're reading or doing a task with confidence, you want to write down the day, the time, who was around and what did they say. I'm telling you, just trust me. For 14 days, I want to challenge you to do this, because maybe your child is having meltdowns in the morning and you have never really just tried allowing them to sleep until they wake up and find out how is their mood. So in this 14 days, if your child is having some mood issues or meltdowns in the morning, what you can simply do is let them sleep and see if she wakes up in a better mood, if she's able to do her homework. Take note of that. What time she woke up, what time, how long it took to get dressed. These things that you want to shape your homeschool around so that your child can succeed. Maybe your child is not feeling confident. They always want you to sit next to them. So I want you to just see moments when they're outside of the classroom, outside of school, where they're exhibiting confidence. Maybe it's at the grocery store. They're speaking into an adult with such confidence. You can simply say afterwards, wow, I noticed how confident you were in speaking to that adult. That is going to serve you well in college when you're talking to your professors. It can even serve you well when you become a supervisor and you're talking to your staff. Do you see that? You're talking to your kid, you're pinpointing things about their behavior that are going well outside of the classroom. And then you're pinning it to their future, helping them to see the connection between the skill of confidence will bring them success in the future. It will trickle into the classroom. But first, you must take note and look for opportunities when you see your child doing the appropriate behavior. So many times we spend time focusing on what is going wrong. I want to challenge you for 14 days to look and see what is going right, when it's going right, where it's going right, and who's around. I don't want you to keep it here. I want you to keep it here. Why? So then you can do step 3, and that's to connect the dots. After you're calm, you wake up in the morning before your feet hit the ground, you're just having a moment of calm. Then you get up, you go through your day with that one goal in mind. And guess what? That's where you can start to take notes around that one goal. What happened? What did you say? How did they respond? What time of the day it was? What day it was? All of that good stuff in your notes. So we can do step 3, which is connect the dots. Now, how do we connect the dots? Listen, You know, I've had so many clients over the years and talked to parents and recognize they're struggling with trying to find answers, solutions for their kids amongst all the 1,001 things that they have to do in a day. Prepare dinner, go to work, fix the car, do all of these different things. And so a lot gets lost. But when it's in this book, let me tell you what begins to happen. You read over it and you go, wow, okay, I set this goal on Monday. I was able to achieve it. And this is what happened. Oh, on Wednesday, I set this goal. I wasn't able to achieve it. This is what happened. And you begin to see a pattern. So you don't connect dots from memory. You can connect the dots from your notes. You know, when I started writing notes down, when I was homeschooling my son Miles, I began to see some patterns. I recognized that he loved to do things with his hands. But as his teacher, his homeschool teacher, it was hard for me to find ways to keep him interested in all the lessons. But I noticed he worked best when the lessons were self-guided. But you know what? This was hard for me because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't allowing him to stay on the computer more than I instructed him. But guess what? What did the data say? The data said that he needed curriculum, that he could be self-guided, not direct instruction. I noticed he worked better with music blasting in his ear. Of course, I didn't want this. This is not the way I learned, nor did I think it was acceptable as a teacher. But guess what? The data showed that he did better in his writing when I allowed him to listen to music. I also recognized from taking notes that when I said to him, you can do this assignment for 30 minutes and then you can stop. It's finished for the day. You know what? He actually did it. He worked the entire 30 minutes and he did his assignments more accurately. You would think that he would lollygag for the whole 30 minutes, but there was something in him knowing that I don't have to do this assignment the whole day, just 30 minutes. But I learned all of this from taking notes and connecting the dots. So here is what I want to do. I want to challenge you for 14 days to just put these 3 steps into play every single day. Be calm. That during the day you have to remain calm. So remember back there where I was telling you to have those routines in place so you can remain calm and take notes, particularly around the goal that you set. How is that working? Find some patterns there that you can begin to tweak for the next day for 14 days. And I want you to know, if every single day you're like, I don't know, I'm not seeing any patterns, here's what I want you to do. I simply want you to ask your child, if you were your homeschool teacher, how would you arrange homeschool to suit you? I just want you to have a good old conversation, like take them out for some ice cream and ask them this question, not during the school day. Don't make this work. Make this a pleasurable conversation. Take them out, ask them, if you were your own homeschool teacher, how would you arrange homeschool to suit you? And then I want you to listen and listen carefully. Take notes, and I want you for the next week to say, okay, we're going to try this idea, and this idea for 1 week. And again, your goal for that week is to wake up, be calm. Don't keep an open mind. Don't criticize. Just keep an open mind, looking for the things that are going right. Take note of the things that are going right. And then at the end of the week, I want you to see what things actually work. What things can you actually adopt in your routines, your normal routines, and what things maybe you're willing to let go that you've been doing? You know, my Miles is 20 years old now, 6'4", 230 pounds. And I want you to know that he's in his third year in college. While many students have racked up a lot of debt going to school, my Miles has secured himself a football scholarship. And while many school students go to school and their grades plummet, my Miles has earned a 3.0 last semester. You know, he also is financially responsible, earning $500 a month as a resident assistant. Why am I telling you all of this? Because Miles was a promising student. Your child is a promising student. And just like Miles, he or she will see better days. But it depends on you, how you make them feel, what you say to them, and your ability to encourage and uplift, and your ability to have restraint during those difficult days. I want you to know better days are ahead. Now, for those of you who may have children with very, very challenging behavior or really struggling in school, I want to offer you something. I want to offer you the opportunity to have a chat with me. In 15 minutes, we can figure out the next step you can take. I promise you. But here's what you have to have in order for that promise to be filled. You have to have 14 days of taking note. So please join in on the challenge, the 14-day challenge, and take notes for 14 days. That means the weekend, because remember, you're looking for the behavior you want to see. So on the weekend, you're definitely looking for it. When are they showing their ability to pay attention? When are they showing that confidence that they need to be successful later on in life? Not just successful in homeschool. This is about the future. So I want to encourage you, take this 14-day challenge. If you have tried everything you know to do and you're not seeing patterns, please reach out to me. Let's chat for 15 minutes, because I know that better days are ahead, and I'm willing to help you get there. I'm willing to help you support your kid with a 15-minute consultation. We'll get there. All right? Take care.
CTR Media Network was created for today's podcasters. We provide a safe haven for content creators that are everyday people doing extraordinary things. We have a system of positioning, monetization training, coaching, and support for our podcasters' success. CTR Media Network simply bridges that gap with a level playing field for your dreams to come true cost effectively. Our team provides a premium service and experience for our podcasters to grow. CTR Media Network provides access, support, resources, coaching, and community for our podcasters to win, if you put in the work. We believe that we are living in a unique time which requires you to share your message of hope with millions of people around the world. Remember that the world is never too saturated for you, your voice and message. A platform for positive, impactful media where the content creators are in the driver's seat. Visit our website today by going to www.ctrmedianetwork.com.
Hi, my name is Muffy, and I want to encourage more kids to read. I am the star of King's very first book, King the Dream. King taught me how to read, and he can teach you too. Let's read together with King the Dream Storybook. The future looks bright for young learners everywhere. Our goal is to inspire 1 million kids to read. Will you help us reach our goal by purchasing the King the Dream storybook? It's located on King Can Read website, www.kingcanread.com.
Have you heard about Book Authority's best new podcasting book winner, which is Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, for her book, The Power of Podcasting, Unlocking Tips and Strategies for Podcasting Success. This book is your podcasting coach in a book. She is sharing so many strategies. This book reached #1 twice on Amazon for new release and best-selling book. So go ahead to ctrmedianetwork.com to purchase your copy today, or simply place your order on amazon.com today and unleash the power of podcasting.
Hello and welcome to Melanated Homeschooling Families Podcast, a safe place for melanated families and homeschoolers, business owners, and overcomers to come together to connect, communicate, support, and introduce you to some amazing melanated families from all over the world that homeschool and more. I'm your co-host, Simone Nofel from Hardy and Free, and today we're going to talk about living a non-toxic life with my husband and life partner, Jack Nofel. We will discuss why making the switch is so impactful and how we can embrace it with our young children. You might remember today's guest from our first episode, Jack Nofel. He is a retired Army officer with a passion for teaching leadership development to young men and women. He is going to share with us his experience of what it was like to live with somebody who was making this drastic change in their life and if he ever jumped on board. Let's jump right in. Welcome again, Jack. I'm so glad to have you here today. Why don't you share a little bit about yourself for the audience members who may not know about you?
Thanks for having me again. I'm happy to be back. And a little bit about me is I just retired from the U.S. Army. I was a medical officer. I worked on leadership for the last 13 years, I'd say, and developing it and just having mentors and mentees. And yeah, it's totally different when you have a kid. That you're not a mentor, but you are a mentor and a teacher, and everything that leadership has and parents have. It's all kind of like a whole bundle of leadership, I guess, and guidance.
Yeah. So the topic that I wanted to dive in today, I got a lot of questions on Instagram about this, about making the switch to a more conscious way of living, a non-toxic life or a plant-based life, however you want to go about saying it. The gist here is that when we know that there's changes that can be made, or we know that there's alternatives to the things that we use in our life or what we do in our life, we know there's alternatives, but how do we actually take that leap of faith and kind of switch over our life to it? Like, how do we make that change, and then how does that change last? And for me, and personally, I made the changes kind of cold turkey, like very quickly, and you witnessed that. And so I want to share a little bit about my story on why I started living a non-toxic life, and then I want to hear from you on how it was living with me through that moment, witnessing my journey, and then how your journey was affected by that. So sound good?
Let's go.
All right. So I started switching over in about 2019 is when I started. I pretty much just trashed all of my hair products, my skin products, and cleaning products that had chemicals in it and were not plant-based derived. And for me, that was a change that I started again, like during pregnancy, and it just lasted. I saw the effects that it had on my body. My skin changed. I felt like my mood was more stable, and so these changes that were happening within me, I wanted it to last. And so for me, that was the first step, and it was a pretty easy one, just to be able to go into the store and look for laundry detergent or dish soap that they have those in the big chain stores, and you can find them at Safeway, at Publix, at Kroger, at Fred Meyer, all these places that are easily accessible for most people. And so if you're looking to make that change in your life and you want to live a more non-toxic life, that it's actually like, know that it's actually easy. It's not very difficult. And financial wise, it's a pretty comparable price from using these chemicals and these cleaners and these products that have so much toxins in them. And a lot of these toxins when you read the ingredient label, and if you start getting into that habitually, I read labels all the time. It's a second nature for me. And so when you start looking at these labels, you can Google on your phone or whatever, or use whatever search engine and look up what they are and where they came from, how they were made, and what effects they have on the body. And so a lot of these ingredients on cleaning products, skincare, hair care are actually linked to increased cancer rates. And so they have carcinogens in these products that we use directly on our skin. And one thing that I share often with my community and with my clients is that it takes only 26 seconds for something to absorb into your skin before it gets into your blood system and affects you. And so, cleaning products, like again, cleaning products, skin products, hair products are all things that we can make simple and easy changes. And so, that's where I would recommend anybody start. And so, well, I'll pause there on my personal story and ask you, what do you use now, or how was that when you were experiencing me trashing certain products, and especially when it came to cleaning products like laundry detergent and dish soap? Like, how was that experience, and do you actually like the alternatives, like the plant-based alternatives?
It's funny because I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday, and he's going through the same thing where his girlfriend is throwing out stuff and putting more natural stuff into their house and products. So for me, I did not like it at all. When it first happened, I was so upset that you're throwing out all this stuff, and we could give it to soldiers and stuff like that. Obviously, hindsight, we knew that, and at the end, we actually did that with a lot of our food when we switched over. So it wasn't more about that; it was more about like it just disappeared overnight, and the products didn't matter to me. A little bit, it was like, oh, I missed my certain lotion because I just got used to having a certain lotion for 10 years, and then I realized, oh, this is not great. And then you gave me a new one, and I was like, oh, this is better actually, and it felt better. So finding a product that I actually liked and knowing it was better definitely kept me on board. And then that goes through all of them. From my deodorant, knowing that it had metals in it and was not good for me, and then switching over to something that's non-toxic, it just became second nature then. But at first, it was a very hard bump in the road. And at first, it was not like a bump; it felt like a hurricane happening. But now I look back, I'm like, oh, it's just a little bump in the road, right? Changing over just these products, because then we had to go through food and all these other products that have a lot of toxic chemicals. So yeah, it was hard at first, but I knew that you're doing the right thing. It was the best thing for our family. And knowing that we had a newborn at home really was just like, all right, I need to make these changes, because I knew the system has been rigged to let Americans make whatever product they want without any um, real regulations and boundaries. Like they'll say they have regulations, but they don't. They just do whatever they want in America, and that's kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And there is a lot of great products out there, and now I'm a lot happier.
Yeah, and that kind of brings up another point of in the United States compared to Europe or a lot of countries, even in Asia, that the approval list of what the FDA actually can approve versus what they will ban. Our list here in the United States is far, far, far more extensive and longer than the list in Europe. So here in the United States, there might be a list of 10 banned, chemicals or ways to put in products, versus in Europe, there's like a list of like 100 things that are banned. And so, start asking yourself that if you're listening and you're a citizen of the United States, and start asking yourself, like, why do we allow certain chemicals or synthetics into our products and our food, and other countries don't? Like, what's up with that, and where does that come from? Start asking those questions, because those are all, it's all part of our daily lives. Everything that we come in encounter with can be done better, to some degree. And so that kind of brings us over into the food, right? So the non-toxic way of living also is one of the most important parts, in my opinion, is our food. I kind of mentioned this in the last episode of like, food is medicine. And so what we put into our bodies, especially when it's food, is so important. And so there's this constant back and forth when I'm in the grocery store or at restaurants, when it comes to reading labels and finding an alternative to the things that either I grew up with or that I've grown to love throughout my life, and trying to find an alternative that might not have those chemicals in it. And so what's it like for you shopping at the store when you know that, your wife is very adamant about certain labels or certain ingredients and labels? Like how does that feel for you?
Well, I mean, again, having our son helps because it's like you don't go there with you in mind. It's more of a selfless, like, hey, I want him to have the healthiest foods he can have. And the ways to do that are to eliminate all those toxic chemicals that they put in food. So to me, it's super easy. I'm like, hey, most of my food's coming from the produce section. We're going to be where everything's raw and we can just pick it out ourselves. And there's a whole organic section there. So that's super easy. And then it's funny because as you're going through the grocery store, you hit those aisles where it'll be like health food. Well, if health food's here, then what's the rest of the store for? Right? It's just like, and I'm sure people have seen memes and stuff like that about that same topic, but it's serious. There's a whole health section in organic foods. So what's the rest of the foods? Artificial flavors, chemically made, GMOs, just stuff that's not good for the human body, and it's causing a lot of problems in the human body. I was gonna say children, but everybody actually. It's not just us. So going now, it's nice to be awake and be like, wow, holy crap, I don't need most of this stuff in this grocery store. And now I look right past all this stuff. So it's like if I'm going down a cookie and chips aisle, super easy to just walk right past all of that and not even want it. So and then if you want snacks, of course there's organic snacks that are, you know, gluten free with less chemicals, more natural, and those snacks taste actually better than the ones that are old, because the old ones now, if I eat it, it's like, oh man, what am I eating? My teeth feel it, like my body feels worse when I'm eating it. And when I'm eating the healthy stuff, my body is like, all right, this is good. And a lot of times it may be like, oh, I'm still hungry, but I definitely know my body is at least taking it and using all the nutrients it can.
Yeah. And what's your, I love, we've talked about this before, and I would love for you to share here with everybody listening is why do you choose organic? Like what's up with organic, and why should people try their best to pick the organic version?
All right, there's so many ups and downs with organic. You could read so many things because journalists aren't accountable anymore. They could just write whatever they want. So there's going to be people that you're going to read and they're going to say organic is fake and you don't need it. But if you look into like the whole farming and agriculture of it, organic has 5 to 10 pesticides overall, and it can even have less than that, right? So it seems like a lot, right? But then you go to non-organic and it has anywhere from 50 to 70 different types of pesticides sprayed on it. That's a ton. That's way more. And then what you're getting with those extra 40, 50 pesticides are other chemicals that we just don't know what they are. We don't know what the farmers are using. And as we've seen in the last couple of years with Roundup, all of a sudden Roundup's the worst thing in the world, causing cancer. And if you have that directly onto your food, what do you think that's going to do directly to the body? It definitely cannot go and be beneficial for the body. So getting organic, at least you're getting less pesticides. At least for me, that's how I feel. I feel like I eat organic because I don't want those extra chemicals sprayed on there. And I think maybe consciously people were growing it with intention of being organic, of being in a better area, maybe better soil. I don't know. But I just like to think that way, that it isn't grown intentionally and a little bit better and not sprayed and genetically modified at all.
Yeah, and I think that's even a good point too about we've lost connection with our food source.
Yeah.
As a society and humanity, we've lost touch with that. So think about your great grandparents. They were growing their own food in their gardens, or they knew the farmer up the street or the family up the street that were growing tomatoes and onions, but they were growing berries, so they swapped, and there is a sense of connection with our food source. And so if you can get the closer you can get to your food source, the better. So if you're able to shop at farmers markets instead of these big chain grocery stores, then do that. If you're able to go to actually the location of where the farm is and say, hey, do you guys have a farm stand? A lot of farms, they'll have farm stand at the beginning of their property where you can go up and they can have their abundance, their extra produce or their extra harvest out there for you to be able to pick up right there at their farm. Get to know the farmers in your area, and like try to connect with that community. Go to the farmers markets on the weekends or during the week, whatever it is for your area. Because the closer that we can get to the food source, the better. And those farmers will tell you exactly how they grow their food, and they love talking about it. That's their passion. They love what they do. And so you can learn more about your food and where it's coming from, instead of, like Jack was mentioning, being in this monocrop field and getting sprayed by pesticides on a daily basis. These are the things that we have to start thinking about, because it really does affect our bodies on a physiological level, on a mental level, and a spiritual level. Because again, with this perspective of holistic health and holistic wellness, we really have to think that everything is connected, even within ourselves as an individual person. And so if we're eating something that has pesticides or chemicals in it, and that's going into our blood system, that's going into our brains, how does that affect then our hormone production in our brains and our brain functioning? And those things all impact our mental health. And so if you're listening here and you're struggling with your mental health,